Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming along to the Work Health and Safety Committee meeting. Thank you for joining me. As you can see, I've sent out the agenda items, and we're just going to have a quick yarn today about all of these things on the list. So we're just going to be identifying some risk out in the community, in our workplace, and coming up with some solutions to mitigate those risks. Yep. First of all, acknowledgement of the country. Let's acknowledge the land that we're on and the traditional people of this country, and pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. Okay, so the areas of concern that have been identified in previous meetings are community consultation visits, the travel, our team does air and road travel, the workplace like here, and maybe the remote clinics that we visit, the accommodation that we use while we're out in the communities, and our vehicles. Okay, so we'll skip the mind mapping exercise, but we'll just go straight into doing a bit of brainstorming about the community consultations and visits. Like, what can we do to eliminate? Well, first of all, we'll identify the risks, we think, and then we'll have a couple of suggestions. So if we can just get maybe 2 or 3 from each of them, and then a couple of suggestions, I reckon. So community visits, community consultations and visits. Anybody got any that spring to mind straight away?
I guess staff safety, mate. Occupational health and safety is going to be a big one.
Yep.
And there's obviously so many different risks that can be considered around that. But certainly personal safety should be up there at the top of the list, considering recent circumstances up in Darwin here, which have been really unfortunate. And then so as part of that, I certainly wouldn't be expecting team members to be traveling, one up on their own to any place. So 2 up, 3 up staff travel.
Yep, definitely. Anything, Max?
Maybe also calling the community that you're actually visiting and making sure there hasn't been any anything happening in the community that's been unrest, like just for your personal safety, like Brendan said, like you just want to check in, see if everything's going okay, that it's safe, and that they're actually expecting you to come to the meeting, and that things haven't happened while you're not there. Making sure that everything's all good for your visit.
Yeah. There's some really good points there, guys. Yep.
I think sorry, I was just going to add, utilising those anti-government resources that we have available to us to use as well, like that Bushtel service that is there, which carries all that information around remote travel. That what other anti-government staff are travelling out there, so you can coordinate, work together.
Yeah.
There's other contacts, so whether it's regional council contacts to touch base with them. Mate, from our point of view, we obviously got there's 70 odd First Circle members spread across the Northern Territory as well. So we'd certainly like to see them being used as a resource as well.
Definitely, yeah, good point, Brendan. Because I don't think that's highlighted enough. That because government agencies, they all go out by themselves. So these communities, they'll tell you, here come the Land Cruiser mob. Everybody rock up in their own white Land Cruiser, and one person's in them.
100%.
So I think that we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak, if we use our networks and other organisations that we know go out to these remote communities.
Yep.
Schedule our trips together, link in with the people on the ground, like the First Circles group, and that way it's more productive and less resources are getting used, and then staff safety on top of that, because you got somebody else in the car with you.
Yep.
Awesome. There's some really good points there for that first one. What about, so the next one is travel, so air and road. So what are some considerations we need to think about when we are doing air travel, I reckon? We've sort of covered off on a little bit of the road stuff with the traveling in pairs and threes. And
Yeah.
Megan, you do a lot of flying over to the Tiwi Islands. What are some things that you
Yeah,
that you
mainly
consider?
travel with the weather as well, checking the weather, because sometimes them little planes, you don't want to be
Oh no.
traveling in the rain because they're really, unpredictable.
Yep.
But also just making sure that when you actually get there, that your vehicle bookings are actually booked in advance and that they do have a vehicle there ready for you.
Yep.
Just making sure the accommodation's ready for you as well, because most of the time they just have dongers for, in the local councils have available for you. Just making sure, just ticking all those boxes before you actually go remote as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And you need to know if you need to take food. Is there food available
Yeah,
out
that's the other
there?
thing.
Do you
Yeah.
need to book? Is there a shop in that community?
Yeah.
Do you need to take your own sheets?
Yeah. If you
All
need
those
to do that as
considerations
well.
that you need
Just
to,
little things like that. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. That if it's your first crack at remote travel, and we've
Yeah.
got a lot of new staff coming on board, these are kind of things that we need to think about before we send them out into the wide open. So maybe we could consider writing up some team unit procedures when it comes to remote travel. I know there's the remote bush travel policy from the NT government, but something more specific to our unit, even if it's just some standard operating procedures.
Yeah, that sounds good. Definitely be useful, and then we can change it as things change.
Yeah.
And update it.
Exactly, and maybe localised ones as well. What's available in Warramunga? We can go put out a list of accommodation available. Where do we book vehicles from? In Warramunga, in Belgium, where do we stay? Where do we eat?
Yeah, definitely.
And similar when we've got our team members driving out to Larger Money, they're going to drive all the way out to Larger Money and work out that, oh, hang on, there's nowhere to stay here. Then turn around and drive back 10 hours to Catherine, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think what about the workplace? So what about what about around the office? Is there any sort of hazards and risks that we can think of here, but also in those remote settings as well, that are vital to our staff safety?
Yeah. I think certainly some of the considerations around the areas where we travel remotely around, some of them considerations around normal safety considerations the normal safety checks that we would consider in our office to be suitable, have fire alarms being checked, as the electrical systems that are in those facilities being signed off. Some of these buildings are quite old and aged and potentially not maintained. So I guess from an OH&S and staff point of view, we want to know that staff are going to be safe when they travel.
Yep. Have all of those equipment been tagged and tested, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
We've had those instances where, people have had unfortunate accidents and passed away because the electricity hasn't been grounded, correctly.
Yeah. We don't want those sort of things happening.
Definitely not.
Okay, so we've sort of spoken a little bit about accommodation. Did you have anything more to add for that one, Megan?
Just checking in advance, because even though you do your bookings here in the office before you go, just giving that confirmation and just seeing everything is all right before you actually do go out to bush, because you don't want to be stuck in any places.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So that's just mainly that one. And just that's really about it, I reckon.
I definitely think it all comes down to building rapport with people in travel, people at the airlines, people out on the ground, people in the clinics that we're going to go visit to. So you need to build those networks, and then you can just ring them up and say, what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. Cool. What about vehicles? That's the last one on our list today.
Yep.
Just
I think
checking. Oh no, you go, Brendan.
No, sorry, Megan, you go, mate. I'll wait. You're right.
Just checking out the vehicles beforehand. Just checking if they've got all their safety equipment in there, so that fire extinguishers, first aid kits. Making sure that it's fueled up. Just all those little things, and also making sure that staff have had forward driving training as well, because you don't want to be caught out as well.
Yep. Spot on. And there's that anti-government remote travel checklist, just making sure that that's completed and signed off.
Definitely. And I think another thing that we need to consider is, are we going to be able to fuel the car up when we get there to get back? So we need to work out some of those, little logistical concerns. Yep. So I know when I go bush, I always like to work out how far it is from point A to point B and milestones in between. So if anything does happen and I break down, I know how far it is to either the next spot ahead or the place that I've just been. Just in case I have to walk.
Good Falcon job.
Yeah, and I know it's not a good idea to walk, but if I know I'm only 2 k's away, I'll definitely have a crack.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon you'd have that training singlet and joggers ready.
Hey, look out. Just in case, eh?
Never know.
All right, well, that's it for the meeting, I reckon, guys. Unless anyone's got anything else they want to raise? No, good. Okay.
Everything.
I'll get these minutes out and send them around for circulation, and then we can approve them at the next meeting. But I think there's a lot of good stuff that came out of this meeting today, and we can work on some localised unit policies and procedures to minimise any risks of us when we do travel remotely, and just get another sort of checklist of calling ahead, making sure that there's places to fuel up, whether there's food available in those locations, or all of those stuff we spoke about today.
Yeah.
Yep. Beauty.
Sounds
good. Huh?
Okay. All right. I'll get them minutes out to you later on this afternoon, guys. Appreciate your time today.
No worries.
Okay. Thank you.